Hi there, Elspeth here, also known as the Speedy Vegan, and today I thought I'd show you how I make stuffed cabbage rolls. These are perfect for St. Patrick's Day and for any night of the week. So the first thing we're going to do is choose a cabbage. I have several options here. This is a Savoy cabbage. You can see the outside is very wrinkly. That's a good option. And this is just a regular green cabbage. It's a super inexpensive meal to make because the ingredients are so available. This one here is a Napa cabbage. This is probably a good option, but we're not going to use this. I prefer to use the rounded cups of the lettuce leaves rather than these long thin ones. So I think I'm going to go ahead and use the Savoy cabbage today. So first thing I'm going to do is get a pot heated up here with some water in it because we're going to have to steam this cabbage. Whoa, did you see that? Yikes. Oh well, a little dangerous, I know. So in my pot, I have a steamer basket, and I'm going to have to remove the little handle here to get this cabbage in here. And I'm also going to pour some water into the pot just underneath the steamer. So I'll get this water heating up a little bit and then put the cabbage in here. So we'll get that heated. So what I do is I take the stem out, or as much of the stem out as I can. So I just grab a knife and pinch up on the blade, and then I just sort of cut in here at an angle. I don't want to take away too much of the cabbage leaves, but I want to get a little bit of that hard stem out. So I just slice around. And you can skip the step and just put the whole cabbage in, it doesn't really matter. But I find it easier to do it this way. So I can twist that out and pop that into my compost. And I'm just going to pop this into the steamer basket for once it comes up to boil, it'll probably be about 5 minutes. And whilst that's going on, I can go ahead and prepare the filling for the stuffed cabbage. So I'm going to turn my front burner on. Hopefully it comes on quicker. Yep, that's good. For some reason this burner always has a little bit of an issue, so I should have had my lighter here. Anyway, we're all safe. So first up, I use a stainless steel pan. I don't cook with any oil. As I've said in many of my videos, oil is not necessary. If things start to stick, I can always add a little bit of water to the pan. Oil just adds calories. It really has no nutritional benefit here, so we avoid oil. So I usually let the pan heat up a little bit so you can get a little bit of a non-stick coating. I've gone ahead and cut up the vegetables that I'm going to use inside. So I'm using a red onion here. You could use a white onion. I just like the extra nutritional benefit of the anthocyanin that's in the red onion. I have some celery that's chopped up and some carrots and mushrooms. So all of these vegetables are going to let off a lot of liquid when they cook, so we should be okay. But I'll first throw the onion in the pot, and you can hear it's already heating, sizzling, and get that going. And I just sort of move it around a little bit. And I'm going to add the celery in. So it's just diced up celery and carrots. Celery, onion, and carrots is commonly known as mirepoix, and it's the base of many soups and stews. Just adds a nice flavor, flavor punch for any savory dish. So I'm going to let that saute for a while, and I always have my water on the side. So if things start to stick a little bit, I'll just show you. I can just pour a little bit of water in. You could use vegetable stock. People also use wine. I suppose for a St. Patrick's Day meal, you could even use beer, but I'm going to use just plain water here. So I'll let that saute and give it a couple of minutes, and then I'm going to add mushrooms. I have about 3 or 4 cloves of garlic chopped up, and I have some seasoning here, which I'm going to use sage and thyme. And then the only other ingredient that goes in the filling is the starch. So I have some brown rice here and I have some wild rice. I love the chewiness of wild rice. You can use quinoa, oat groats, whatever grain you like, you prefer, you can use for the filling. But that's what we're going to use here today. So I'm just going to let this saute a while. So the carrots, onions, and celery have started to wilt down a bit. I'm now going to add the mushrooms rather. So these mushrooms are going to let out a lot of moisture. So I'll add in the mushrooms, and I'm also going to add the garlic. And I'm just going to let those saute up together. And I'm going to take a quick peek at the cabbage, see how that's doing. Yep, so the water's started to boil, so it'll probably be about 5 minutes or so. I'll check on it. So it depends on what size cabbage you have. You just want the outside leaves to start softening a little bit so that you'll be able to easily peel them off and use them for stuffing. So we'll keep an eye on this and check back when it's all cooked down. I'm going to add a little bit of water here because it is sticking a little bit. So everything's cooking very nicely. There is a whole bunch of liquid that's cooking out of the mushrooms, which is lovely. I'm going to add in the sage and thyme right now to this mixture as well. You could use herbs de Provence, you could use whatever herbs that you like, and fresh herbs would be great. Some fresh parsley would be lovely in this. I do have some fresh parsley that I'm going to use as a garnish for the finished dish. That'll also add some nice flavor. I like to try and get fresh herbs in to any dish, and the dried ones as well. So I'm going to let this cook a little bit longer, and I'm going to also add the rice in here. So as I say, I have the brown basmati and I also have some wild rice. It's going to add a nice chewiness. So the rice is already cooked. It's just getting mixed in with the vegetables here. I just want to see how much liquid is actually left in the pan. I'm going to turn this pot off here for the cabbage, and I'm going to take the lid off and take the cabbage out so that it can cool. Whoops, not the right tool at all. Let's see. I'm going to use a spatula and my tongs. So I just want to get the cabbage out so it can cool, so I'm not going to burn my fingers when I do start peeling off the lettuce leaves. And then I'm actually going to use this exact pot to cook these cabbage leaves in. So I'm going to remove my steamer tray, and I'm going to go ahead and pour out all of the water that's in the base of this pot and get it ready for the cabbage leaves. So I'm going to turn off the vegetables completely and let this cool down a little bit so it'll be easy for rolling into the cabbage leaves as well. So we've got this wonderful fragrant mixture of vegetables here that are super healthy, no oil and salt in here at all, but lots and lots of flavor with the vegetables and the dried herbs. I can also add some salt-free seasoning. The salt-free seasoning that I like is Benson's Table Tasty. I will put that in the notes. So I just add some, you can use any salt-free seasoning, or if you do use salt, you could go ahead and use salt. And I'm also going to add some black pepper, so this will flavor it up even more. I'll just give that a stir. Okay. So the cabbage is cooled a little bit here, and I should be able to get some of the outer leaves off very easily. So this is a nice large one here. We can start with this one. So in the base of this pot, I'm going to use the same Dutch oven. I am going to pour some marinara sauce. So you could use any kind of marinara, your favorite marinara sauce. If you have a salt-free, oil-free option, that's great. I will make a video on how I make my marinara sauce. I make it and then I just keep it in little jars like this so that I can portion it out whenever I'm going to use it for cooking. So I'm just going to spread some of the marinara on the bottom of this pot, just a thin little layer on here. And this will serve as the base for my cabbage leaves, and so that it doesn't burn underneath when I'm cooking them. So I'll just take some of the mixture here, some of the rice mixture. For the outer leaves, I use a fair amount, and then as you get further in, it's smaller and smaller. So I'll just, usually I go from the bottom, just like wrapping up a burrito. I tuck it over the rice and vegetable mixture, and then I come in from the sides, and I just roll it up. So you end up with these beautiful little rolls, and then I put the seam side down in the pot. So I will continue doing that with the rest of the rice mixture. I'm kind of hoping that I have some of this rice mixture left over, because it is such a nice, it's kind of like a rice pilaf, and it's just nice to eat on its own as well. So, but this is fun inside the cabbage leaves. So I'll just tuck it in from either side and roll it up. And I really like the look of the Savoy cabbage, it's just nice and wrinkly and really pretty looking. This becomes quite a hearty sort of one dish meal, because you've got your starch, you've got your vegetables, and it all goes into one pot. So it really is fun. I decided to wear my green top for this, since this is such an Irish style dish. I thought I'd be ready for St. Patrick's Day and wear green. I do have Irish blood in me. There's a family story, not sure exactly how true it is, but my great-great-great-grandfather, his last name was O'Flynn, and he had to flee from Ireland for some reason and changed his last name to Abraham, which was my maiden name. So, funny story. Keep rolling. Pretty proud of these. So, Savoy cabbage is definitely a great option for this. The regular green cabbage, the leaves are much tighter to the cabbage, and sometimes they break when you peel them off. But because I went ahead and cut out some of the stalk underneath here, these come off very easily. So all of the cabbage leaves are stuffed and in my pot, and you can see the marinara sauce down below. I'm going to add a little more marinara sauce to it here on top. Just a little bit to spread on top of the leaves so that they stay nice and soft. Then I'm going to pop on my lid and turn on the heat and let this cook for about 10 minutes until everything's warmed up, heated through, and starts to soften. Okay, so I'm going to turn the heat off here and take a peek at the cabbage leaves. Wow, these look amazing. The marinara sauce is bubbling up underneath, and the cabbage leaves look like they're nice and tender, and I'm sure they heated through quite well. So I'm just going to take a couple out and put them on a plate here and show you what I do next. So for serving, you could choose a few of them. Wow, these smell so good. And I just put the seam side down. You could spoon a little of the marinara sauce over the top. And then, as I said before, I like to chop some parsley and serve that on top too. Parsley is such a nice sort of spring herb. So I'm going to just show you how I chop parsley real quickly. So, you know, parsley comes in curly leaf parsley or Italian flat leaf parsley. I grew up eating curly parsley, so I have a soft spot for curly parsley, but I definitely use the flat leaf parsley. So I just run my knife along the stalks and take off as much of the leaves as possible. So you're just left with these stalks. And these are really great to throw into a juice or a smoothie, or you could just pop them into your compost. So then I just put the point of the knife down on the board, and I have my fingers in a little bear claw. I always pinch up on the blade of the knife, and I just sort of cut towards my hand, sort of grabbing all the parsley together as best I can and moving my hand back. So I do that a couple of times, just with the point of the knife down on the board so that it's kind of safe. And then I'm able to just go around in a bit of a semicircle. I put my hand on the front of the blade here, and I just mince around, and that's how I mince parsley. It smells so fragrant, so delicious. And so for serving, I would just sprinkle a little of this over the top. And there you have a wonderful meal for St. Patrick's Day or for any night of the week. It's a one-pot dish. It probably takes about 30 minutes from start to finish, and especially if you're using the Savoy cabbage, because it steams down so quickly. So let me know if you make this recipe. I'd love to hear how you like it. I will post the recipe in the comments, and please hit the subscribe button so that you can get notifications of when we put more videos up. And thanks, enjoy the recipe, and happy St. Patrick's Day. Be safe, everybody.